Alright, welcome. If you're new to the channel, my name's Elliott and you're watching Rickety Ski Reviews. Today, we're going to talk about a few things. The biggest thing we're going to talk about is the problem we have right now with ski towns. Is skiing only for the ultra wealthy? Can you ski if you're not super wealthy? Is it going to only be for the ultra wealthy? Well, we'll jump into that, but first there's a few things I want to talk about that I'm kind of replying to, or that kind of spurred on this video. The first one was Ski Essentials in their Top 5 Fridays, which is a great video. I recommend you check it out. But at the midway mark at 8:55, they talk about the OSO Outdoors program. Essentially what it's doing is it's helping Spanish-speaking workers to be connected with skiing. It's a program to help get the people who are actually working in town onto the ski hill and get exposed to skiing, ski culture, all of that. And you know, with one of the quotes from Ski Magazine that Jeff talks about is that for a lot of the workers, they just thought that skiing wasn't accessible, that skiing was only for rich people. And then also, like a few days ago, Lindsey Vonn put out an Instagram post where she announced that she is partnering with Three Fork Ranch Lodge, which is a new private ski area, and there's a lot of controversy about that. And then if you look, Bode just unveiled a new movie about mental health in ski towns and how there are higher suicide rates in some of these ski towns. So I'm gonna give you my opinion as somebody who's not only like been really steeped in the ski community for the last decade, but also who grew up in an actual ski town. I grew up in East Burke, Vermont, which is now actually weirdly more of a mountain bike town than a ski town. But when I was a kid, it was a ski town. It relied heavily on tourism, and the entire state of Vermont actually really relies on tourism. So I don't know, I have a few opinions on this. So the first piece is skiing only for the wealthy? Well, that depends. I've noticed out west, I think that's more the case than the east. The East Coast has a lot of smaller mountains where things are more affordable. I will say the west, where I ski in Boise, Idaho, we have Bogus Basin, which is a non-profit mountain where you can get a ski pass for under $500 if you buy it ahead of time. I get like a full, I think it's $540, and I get a full ski pass, which has no blackouts, no all weekends. They're like the biggest one you can get. And I also get a mountain biking pass with that. And then all these like buddy pass, all these other perks. So I have like the full nighttime, daytime, whatever. We have night skiing. Our passes are very affordable, and they really go out of their way to make it accessible to people who are local. You can get a like ski demo for $30. They have programs where if you do a lesson, they like roll that into your pass. So there are a ton of programs for locals here, but that is not the norm. I've noticed out west that there aren't a ton of mountains like that. Okay, so if you're driving east and you go to Sun Valley is extraordinarily expensive. I spent over $200 on a day pass when my brother was in town. If you drive further east and you go into Utah, Snowbird and a lot of those mountains are really expensive. If you keep going into like the Epic and Icon, those are running you $800 to $1,000. If you go west and you head to Tahoe, that whole area is extremely expensive. So there's no good way around it. And honestly, even when I went back home to Vermont, or I talked to my friends back in Vermont, Burke Mountain now is extraordinarily expensive. If you don't buy a preseason pass, you are looking at close to $1,100 for someone my age to get a season pass for Burke. I love Burke, but it is not worth $1,100 in my opinion. I mean, maybe it is, but I'm just saying, like, it used to be a very affordable mountain. So I'm in the small oasis of non-profit mountains, but I know that a lot of things around me aren't like that. So is skiing only for the rich? Kind of. It just depends. Mostly yes, but there's a couple of loopholes. You can find ways around it so you don't have to spend that much money. Or like if you look at other hobbies, right, with skiing, yes, you pay for the season pass, but if you're using it a lot, it becomes like, okay, each day you're not spending that much. I'd say also if you look at ski gear, it's the same thing. You can spend a ton of money on ski gear. You can spend thousands and thousands and thousands. I know people who do that. They just go through like Curated or whatever and have someone pick it out for them, and they walk out the door and they don't think twice about it. Whereas me, I'm like, okay, it's July, it's the perfect time to buy ski gear, or, I'm always trying to kind of offset it because it is really expensive. It can be expensive, it doesn't have to be. So I think, it's an expensive sport. It's really hard to get into. It's really hard to like just dip your toes in and try it without dropping a lot of money. So I would say my answer is skiing for the ultra wealthy. I think resort towns are for the ultra wealthy. In order for you to own land and go that way, it is for the ultra wealthy, but there are a lot of ways around that. You can be at, Buck Hill in Michigan and find ways to ski. You can be in Vermont and go to like a small local mountain that's not very expensive. There are ways around it, and that's a lot of what I try to do with this channel. There are ways to buy gear without breaking your checkbook. But I think it's crucial to recognize that for a lot of people, it's intimidating to get into, and I understand why skiing has that perception. And I think that skiing, I've noticed that it's become increasingly harder and harder for people to access. But, that's just my opinion. I know a lot of people who own second homes who go out to McCall, Idaho, who go out to Sun Valley, Idaho. Oh, because the skiing is just so much better there. And Zach and I both ski at Bogus, and we're like, what are you talking about? Like this year we got more snow than McCall. McCall is better, but it's like 10% better. So anyway, that's just my opinion. I think skiing is a very expensive sport, but it doesn't have to be. And there's a lot of ways that you can avoid spending so much money. But I think that what I've found inversely is the places with the best ski cultures tend to not be as expensive. What happens is like when a resort gets really expensive or when it gets bought out, a lot of those small businesses can't afford to operate. They can't afford to hire people. The property values go up, and then you have no one to work in those small towns. And that is how you lose kind of a ski town culture. Now, on Bode Miller's mental health. Now, I watched the trailer for this video, the 3-minute trailer. Definitely go check that out on YouTube. And I know that it is streaming on Amazon Prime for like 99 cents. So if you want to do that, feel free. It actually looks like a very interesting documentary. But from the article I read in the Durango Herald and from watching the trailer, so the issue that they're kind of highlighting is that suicide rates are really high in some of these ski mountain towns. And they go, well, why is that? These people are living on, heaven on earth. They're in these beautiful ski towns. The documentary is kind of highlighting that. It's talking about resources for these mountain towns, what they're doing to address it, that they're building some of these new mental health centers, which is awesome. But if you want my honest opinion about what's wrong with ski towns, as somebody who grew up in a ski town, and I lived for a summer in Sun Valley working at Starbucks. I worked at it's like the second nicest Starbucks in the world or something. But in Sun Valley, I lived with friends in somebody's condo that they weren't using. And so what's going on with these ski towns? Why are we having this kind of mental health crisis in these towns? Well, you want my honest opinion? A lot of it is because people can't afford to live there. Everybody who is actually working in these ski towns has to live in neighboring towns way far away. So a lot of the people who work there are commuting a long ways. They're not getting paid something that can actually afford them to live in town there. There's no affordable property. Then you get these big swings. You have these big highs with a great ski season or a great mountain biking season where you're doing all these things, and then you have to go work your job, or then you don't have time to ski. So you're living in this beautiful place, but you're just kind of the one making it run and live with the realities of day to day. You're surrounded by super wealthy people who have way more money than you'll ever see in your life. It's depressing. It's depressing to see people around you who have way more money than you while you're kind of struggling to get by paycheck to paycheck. So if you want my honest opinion about what's causing the mental health crisis in ski towns, as someone who lived in a ski town and grew up in it, it's the fact that these towns have been kind of squeezed out of their local culture. People can't afford to live there anymore. So, people don't live there. They live way out of town, so they're just commuting in and out. The other people that they grew up with or that used to live in that area that created that sense of culture are also priced out of town, so they're gone. The people who actually do own the property there, they're only there 7 weeks out of the year, if that. So it's isolating. It's discouraging. You have no people that you're surrounded by, so you're totally isolated other than the few weeks that people come for tourism. And it is depressing. I totally get it. And to see people who don't understand the local culture, who are only visiting for the tourism part, that's great. In Vermont, you would see it all the time, people who are enjoying the leaf peeping. And you kind of understand, you're like, okay, these people are just taking in something that's beautiful. But they may not appreciate that as much. They may just be there at least speaking from experience in Vermont, they're just there for their little maple candy things and to get a quick picture. And then, you know, they're throwing their trash off the side of the highway, or they're snapping their fingers at you at the local shop. And it's dehumanizing, I think might be the right word. And then they're gone in a week. And then you're left kind of with the shops being slow and, you know, trying to struggle to pay your bills. And property values are up so much that you can't, you know, people who are my age will never be able to afford to buy stuff in those resort towns. So the thing I found, I guess, in my 30s is in my 20s, I was always very like stressed out, and, you know, I worked in sales and I was constantly trying to make money so I could, so my kids can ski and they can do all this stuff. And, you know, so I can buy a property that has a condo and maybe I could work towards this. And one thing I've found as I've gotten older is the things that I enjoy the most aren't things that I own. The things that I enjoy the most are going mountain biking up in the foothills. And, you know, that's all public land that I share with other people. And yeah, people can be annoying, but I'm still sharing in that land. Or for skiing, I go to Bogus Basin. It's a non-profit public land area that anyone can access. And sure, you get people who are jerks in the lift lines, but it's pretty few and far between. And overall, because there's such easy access to the mountain, you get a wide variety of people. And I think the big problem that we have as a ski culture is that everyone is just trying to own it. In what way can I own skiing? In what way can I own the mountain? In what way can I own this thing? And as more and more of that happens, there becomes less and less access for people to enjoy skiing. And it just doesn't seem like it's healthy for the sport overall. I was reading this really interesting article that was talking about how the snowpack in some areas where like ski tickets have gotten really expensive, has it gotten worse because there's not as many people skiing on them? So the snow hasn't been packed down as much, so it's looser and is more avalanche prone. I mean, what's happening right now is that people can't afford to live in these ski towns. They've gotten too crazy expensive. People who own property there are only there, you know, a week or two out of the year. So what do you want to know what my honest to God, unpopular opinion on this is? The problem with ski towns, the bigger issue with ski towns, yes, is mental health, but a lot of it is wrapped up in wealth disparity. The people who work and run these towns are making very little money. And the biggest issue, in my honest opinion, is that people can't afford to buy properties in the town they live. If you want my honest opinion, people probably shouldn't own properties that they only spend 7 days a year in. Honestly, it seems so silly to me. Where you're going to own this property, you're going to live 358 days in whatever town you work in, and then you're going to have this property to spend 7 days a year in. Either we should make it illegal for people to own vacation properties, or if you want maybe a more realistic thing, a more realistic option, you force these people to do long-term rental contracts. You know, you have to have your house rented out so many days a year, and it can't be a month. You know, create some kind of rent control in these towns. If you want good ski culture, you have to have people that live in the town year-round and have access to all the resources everyone else does. Now, is that going to happen? No shot. No way. But if you want to keep enjoying your ski town, it has to be sustainable. I've seen areas where the local economy just kind of dries up and crumbles. I saw it happen with East Burke. East Burke almost, you know, kind of disappeared with like local restaurants and local shops. The thing that saved East Burke was that it became a mountain biking hub. So all these Canadians come down regularly to mountain bike. And it used to be primarily skiing focused. It is now primarily the economy is run off of mountain biking. Yes, they still have skiing, but it is a small drop in the bucket compared to the more year-round biking that really funds a lot of those places. So I don't know, that's probably an unpopular opinion, but if you want ski towns to be real and authentic with people who are actually from the area, who appreciate the town and are actually living there, you know, maybe you don't make the houses all $1 million. You look at McCall, Idaho, and it's like the cheapest house you can find is somewhere between like $700,000 and $1 million. You know, that's not even for a real house for most of those, it's like condos. So that's my opinion. If you want ski towns to be healthier, if you want the people to be happier, the cost of living and the cost to own property, right? If you want to live there for a long time, has to match up with what the pay is. And yeah, I mean, it has always been a double-edged sword. Even in Vermont, you would have people who are locals who hated tourists. We used to call them, you take a-hole and you put mass at the beginning, you get mass holes. Or we call them flatlanders. The reality is, without those tourists, Vermont's economy wouldn't survive. So you need those people coming up into town. But I think a good compromise is like, I don't really get why people need to own properties where they're only spending 1 week out of the year. That just seems crazy. Oh, well, it's a good investment and long term it's good. I don't, on a fundamental humanitarian level, that seems so silly. Sure, if you're living there, 6 months out of the year, 3 months out of the year, go crazy. But if you're owning a property just to be there a week out of the year, or if you're even going years without being there, I don't know, just sell it and let somebody who is local buy it. It goes back to what I've always felt like the best things that I've enjoyed in my life. My children, going up to the ski hill, taking them skiing. All of these things are not things that I had to own and covet. They're just things that I can go and enjoy and share with the community that I live in. And I think for the health of skiing, for the health of ski culture, for the health of these ski towns, maybe not so many people need to own property, especially if they're not there enough to support the local economy, restaurants, grocery stores, things like that. Just my opinion. Maybe don't sell your house, but go spend more time there. You know what I mean? Rather than, getting Starbucks or whatever local chain, maybe support some of the local businesses while you're there. Just my opinion, I don't know. But what do I know? I'm just some guy in a playground. I think skiing, I think mountains, I think the outdoors is something that everyone should have access to and everyone should be able to enjoy. I know that the logistics behind that with the economy, that doesn't always add up. But I think that if you are somebody who wants to support a ski town, who wants to enjoy these things, really ask yourself, do you need to own the land there? Or could you be okay staying in a hotel, staying in an Airbnb, staying at a condo that you rent for a week or a month or whatever? Anyway, that's my opinion on it. As somebody who lived there, grew up in a resort town, I think it's great that people want to enjoy it. Honestly, those towns are depending on you doing it. But maybe just go and visit. Maybe you don't need to own the property there. Maybe that little slice of paradise doesn't have to be your investment. Just my 2 cents, but for the health of those areas and for people to be able to live there and allow it to thrive, allow those places to run, that seems like a fair compromise. Anyway, that's just my opinion though. Now, let's talk Lindsey Vonn. She got into some controversy with her recent pairing. Okay, here's her Instagram post. It goes, "Pure discovery. It's what I live for." She just basically announcing her partnership with Three Forks Ranch Lodge. So Three Forks, I looked into this, is a new private ski area. It's not an area you can buy a day ticket to. You basically, the minimum you can buy is a 3-day stay at their local lodges. A 3-day stay starts at around $4,500 for the 3 days. And then you get access, I believe, via snowmobile up to the mountain. So some people were excited about this because it wasn't a ski area before. Like, it wasn't a local ski area that got converted into some private area. It doesn't appear to be something like Deer Valley where it's an exclusive, like, kind of country club or golf club. It's essentially an area that suffered deforestation from beetles getting into the trees. All in all, it looks like Three Forks Ranch will actually be a net gain because it's doing some conservation and making use of a mountain that was not originally for skiing. But people in the comments took issue, and I kind of understand it. The top comment I saw was, "Private and skiing should not be in the same sentence." And I kind of get that notion, actually, where a lot of former ski racers, a lot of like famous skiers, really, they make their money off of appealing to really, really wealthy people. You look at Ted with the, Kuat jackets or whatever. You look at Lindsey Vonn's goggles that start at like $400 or $500. It seems like, skiing being kind of a niche market, they're really just going for ultra wealthy skiers that will spend a lot So, you know, they only have to sell how many goggles to make their money back. I think it would be different if this mountain were taken away from a small local area, and I think in a perfect world, it would be nice if it was open and accessible to everyone in the area. But at the same time, I was never gonna ski there anyway. And if it keeps a bunch of people off of my local mountain, sure, go for it. I mean, it's only adding to the amount of ski areas that are out there. I think right now there's room for both to exist. I do think that this is kind of an anomaly because it's not like people lived in that area who bought their homes because they had access to skiing and now they don't. This is really only adding a ski area where there wasn't. So it's not really affecting local populations in any negative way. It's not like, oh, I bought this house in a ski town and now I can't afford to ski anymore. No, if you live in the area, there's other ski areas in the area and now there's just one more that's private. And if anything, it's gonna take these areas that already get overwhelmed with skiers on it, and it's just gonna take the ultra wealthy ones and pull them away. Fundamentally, it's kind of gross, like it's just, you know, riddled with ultra wealthy people, but who cares? I mean, it's not taking away from anything, and I think it's one of the few scenarios that I can think of where a private ski area is helping the local environment and it's not taking away anything that was already there. So, I don't know. I'm very on the fence about this. Instinctually, I don't like it, but on paper, the more I think about it, the more, I don't know, it doesn't seem to be harming anyone. I think overall, it feels a little gross, and I would probably feel a little embarrassed skiing there, honestly. Like, you know, having one guy who sits on his little snowmobile and he just waits for you to do runs all day. I don't know, I'd feel like kind of a jerk for that one guy whose job it is. But, I don't know. Actually, honestly, if I'm being totally fair about it, it's not hurting anyone. It's not taking away anything that was already there, and it's just adding more ski options for people. And it's helping the local environment. It's the rare occasion where I can see a private ski area making a lot of sense. So, I don't know. I'm gonna fence at that one a little bit. But like I said, overall, for the health of ski communities, people have gotta stop just buying private property and then never living there. Because it doesn't allow local businesses to thrive. It only really pads out people's wallets for investment properties. I don't know. If you care about your local ski area or wherever you like to vacation to, maybe consider just renting a room, renting a condo, and supporting the local economy when you visit, rather than having to own things there and then no one can work there. Just my honest take. Probably unpopular, but let me know what you think down in the comments. Anyway, that's the end of this video. If you like this kind of content, please consider liking and subscribing. But more than anything, thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. If you're curious about what kind of skis I am skiing on going into next year, I'll have links down below, and with all of my gear, like head to toe. But as always, just, yeah, thanks for being here and thanks for watching. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. See ya.